Evolution of eyes from the original three-eyed runner to the three-eyed climber.
Here we have my first critter, the three-eyed runner. The three-eyed runner is a little animal about the size of a rabbit who is nocturnal. It has 3 eyes on its head, which help it see predators such as bobcats and coyotes from far away, which they may need to be aware of. Also, it can look for food and shelter in the night as well. It makes a burrow in the sand for a home, and the three-eyed runner lives in the desert and is awake at night, which is why a fur coat is needed to keep warm in the low temperatures and to blend in with the sand. It is the perfect environment until it started to rain more and there was more muddy ground. Scientists have lately discovered some populations of three-eyed runners have developed a mutation which might have been a transcription occurring in the genes that changed their feet to become wider. This did not seem to be an acquired trait, as only some in the population got wider feet. Scientists have also noting how more rainfall occurred in the desert, growing more grass, making the dry desert wetter. This seems to be some microevolution occurring in the three-eyed runner species, as it has small changes to its genes that might be beneficial, as they can now run and walk easily and faster if they have the mutation. This helps them escape predators in the rain on the muddy ground. It also has a brown coat of fur which keeps it warm in the cool desert nights to blend into the sand. The first macroevolutions or large-scale changes start with the three-eyed swimmer. There was an earthquake which caused a split in the ground. Because of all the rain, it filled up and plants grew around it, becoming an aquatic river biome. It digs a burrow underground and has a speciation of 60 million years. It still has 3 eyes to see. It blends into an environment to dodge predators and eats seaweed and grass. All three-eyed runners in the area of the split, surviving mutations and adaptive traits developed to live near the river. It adapted to blend into the environment by turning blue and green to camouflage in the water and on grass. It got flippers too to swim as well and walk on land. It developed fins to swim as well. Lastly, we have the most recent critter called the three-eyed climber. Around 3 million years after the three-eyed runner split from the three-eyed swimmer, an earthquake in the ground split the desert, which previously started to get more rain and filled up with rainwater and slowly became an aquatic freshwater river biome. With more climate change and rain, the CO2 increased to 2,069 ppm. The three-eyed runner survived this mass extinction since predators around them couldn't swim as well as they could. So this wider feet could also swim easier. What came of this was a group who lived in the boreal forest biome after it got colder and rainier, which scientists discovered from their vestigial structures. The phylogenetic tree shows how the points branch out in many ways. We can also tell from the vestigial structures that more recently some fur grew again. The descendant called the three-eyed climber now has fur again to survive tough winters. It scurries around in the trees and bushes in the summer, gathering food for the cold winters, where it finds a home in the tree or bush to stay. It makes small nests wherever it decides to live. The species kept its structure even back from the three-eyed runner, which has 3 eyes to be able to see far and wide, even during the night, helping the three-eyed climber spot predators it sees and be able to find food. Now I have the timeline of all the critters' eyes. All of them share the same eye structure, but always had 3 eyes. As you can see, the three-eyed runner is the first one to live. It was around 120 million years ago. Next, we can see the microevolved one, which is 100 million years ago. After, we have the three-eyed swimmer, which lived for 60 million years ago. It was the first macroevolution. Finally, we have the three-eyed climber, which lived 30 million years ago. Here's the evidence of species and relationships. It starts with the three-eyed runner and goes to the microevolved one. Next, the macroevolution happens under the three-eyed swimmer, and the last evolution was to the three-eyed crawler. Here are the fossil of the three-eyed runner. It is in amber and shows how the body structures are similar throughout the evolution. Next, we have the sequence of DNA for the eyes. It shows how even though the eyes may look similar, the genetic code is different and does share some of the same code. Here we can see the eyes, and we can see how the three-eyed runner and the mutated three-eyed runner have the same eyes. The three-eyed swimmer has a smaller eye, as is not as needed as before, since it isn't nocturnal. And then the last one has a bigger eye, and it is more needed to see predators in the snow. Based on this evidence, the phylogenetic tree does correctly connect the critters and shows how they are related. We can see the three-eyed runner connected to the mutated one, and it branches off to the three-eyed swimmer and three-eyed climber. Thank you for listening to my presentation.